I think this is going to work better. I swapped my computer around with my Bible stand here where I put my Bible up on it. And I think this is going to work a little bit better. And plus I got it closer. I can read it better. Well, welcome to the channel, folks, to the C Files. And uh, it's nice to have my voice back again. It really is. I can read without interference. Unless this dumb thing decides to interfere, I am going to silence it. All right. Now, last time we were in a reading in the scriptures, it we were we were in Esther, and it was Esther chapter 5. We'll be in Esther chapter 6 this time. Now, as you recall, Esther lived during the time when Israel was in captivity, and at this point they were in captivity under Persia, the Persian Empire, because empires had changed over during their captivity time. In 586 BC, Babylon took them into captivity, and during the 70 years of their captivity, Persia took over Babylon and became the world empire. So now they're under Persia. And there's a king of Persia, and he chose, long story short, he chose Esther, a Jewish woman, to be his queen. So now we have a Jewish woman as the queen over all of the empire, Persia. God lifts people up as he chooses. You know, it's amazing. Every time someone thinks they've overcome the church or they're going to overtake the church or they're going to eliminate the church or whatever, it's utter foolishness to try that, whether it's another religion or it's a government or whatever it might be, or a combination thereof. It's utterly foolish to think that you're going to be able to destroy God's kingdom, which his spiritual kingdom is the church. Anyway, although Israel was wiped off the map at this point in time, and Persia ruled over all of the Jews and the Israelites, God still was on the throne. God still ruled over the affairs of nations, and God lifted Queen Esther up for a purpose. You see, there's a man named Haman in the book of Esther that was one of those evil princesses and or underlings of the king. And he had it out for the Jews because Mordecai, the man who raised Esther from the time she was a child, would not bow to Haman when he rode by on his horse, because Mordecai was a Jew who would only bow to God. And so this put Haman just, he could not stand the fact that Mordecai wouldn't bow to him. So he tricked the king into making a proclamation that all the Jews throughout the empire be killed. He wanted to completely and utterly wipe out the remnant of Israel. Oh, well, that I'm sure that got the attention of God. And God's going, no, you're not, Haman. Nope, nope, that ain't happening. Um, and so Mordecai warns Esther and tells Esther, tell the king that this is going to happen because she would have been included in that. Well, before that, there was a plot against the king's life, and literally Mordecai saved the king's life by informing Esther, hey, these folks are planning to take out the king. You might want to warn the king about that. So there's that backstory to all of this. Now we come to chapter 6. See, Queen Esther set up, she says, okay, how am I going to do this? So she sets up a banquet for the king and for Haman to attend this banquet, and she was going to reveal all this to the king at the banquet. So now they're going to be preparing for this banquet, and that's where we come into in chapter 6. Long introduction, but this is so important for this book. by the way, there's something in this book that most Christians don't know that I'm going to reveal as we go through this. That night, the king could not sleep. So one was commanded to bring the book of the records of the Chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's eunuchs, the doorkeepers, who sought to lay hands on King Ahasuerus. And then the king said, "What honor or dignity?" My tongue's twisted. Sorry. What honor or dignity has been bestowed on Mordecai for this? And the king's servants who attended him said, "Nothing has been done for him." So the king said, "Who is in the court?" Now Haman had just entered the outer court of the king's palace to suggest that the king hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. I forgot to mention that part of the story, but now you got it. The king's servant said to him, "Haman is there, standing in the court." And the king said, "Let him come in." So Haman came in, and the king asked him, "What shall be done for the man whom the king delights to honor?" Now Haman, being as vain and self-serving as he was, Haman thought in his heart, "Whom would the king delight to honor more than me?" And Haman answered the king, "For the man whom the king delights to honor, let a royal robe be brought, which the king has worn, and a horse on which the king has ridden, which has a royal crest placed on its head. Then let this robe and horse be delivered to the land of one of the king's most notable princesses, that he may array the man whom the king delights to honor. Then parade him on horseback through the city square and proclaim before him, 'Thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor.'" Then the king said to Haman, "Hurry, take the robe and the horse, as you have suggested, and do so for Mordecai, the Jew who sits within the king's gate." Now, could you just imagine Haman's, the shock of Haman inside of him when he heard this? It must have been a total shockwave through his whole system when he heard that. And I'm sure his countenance just went, "Oh." Anyway, God knows how to get our attention, doesn't he? "Leaving nothing undone of all that you have spoken," the king says. So Haman, I'm sure grudgingly and reluctantly, took the robe and the horse, arrayed Mordecai, and led him on horseback through the city square, and proclaimed before him, "Thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor." Afterward, Mordecai went back to the king's gate, but Haman hurried to his house, mourning and with his head covered. He was he was in deep, dark depression. Uh, oh my goodness. He had to honor the man he wanted to hang on the gallows. He could not stand Mordecai. Haman despised Mordecai, just gritting his teeth at Mordecai, and yet he had to honor him. Oh, wow. That had to just eat him up inside. I'll read it again. After Mordecai went back to the king's gate, I don't know, where am I? Yeah. But Haman hurried to his house mourning and with his head covered. When Haman told his wife Zeresh, uh-oh, there it goes, and all his friends everything that had happened to him, his wife, men, and his wife, let's see, his wise men and his wife said to him, "If Mordecai, before whom you have begun to fall, is of is of Jewish descent, You will not prevail against him, but will surely fall before him. How would you like to have a wife that encourages you that way? She was no encouragement to Haman. While they were still talking with him, the king's eunuchs came and hastened to bring Haman to the banquet which Esther had prepared. He went from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the valley within a day, all because of his own pride and arrogance and vanity. Oh. Pride will bring you down, folks. Don't be prideful the way Haman was. All right, now we're going to move on. Oh, there's going to be more. I'm going to continue till I finished up the book of Esther. Uh, in a future video, we're going to be in 7, and then we'll be in 8, 9. There's 10 chapters. So we have literally 4 more chapters to go to finish this book. And in these final chapters, something is going to be revealed that will shock a lot of people. But anyway, uh, Haman's downward trend, just as his wife had predicted, it continues. All right, we're going to go to Psalm. We'll be in Psalm 121 in this one, 9 verses in Psalm 121. This psalm is God, the help of those who seek him, a song of ascent. And remember, Psalms are it's basically song poetry that was sung in a song. And it really digs into the soul of the believer, the soul of people who go from the highs to the lows, from ecstatic to depression. It deals with all of that. Verse 1, I will lift up my eyes to the hills from whence comes my help. My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper, the Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve you from all evil. He shall preserve your soul. The Lord shall preserve your going out and your coming in from this time forth and ever, forever, and even forevermore. I'm sorry, it was 8 verses. We that just took us into 22. I was about to go into 22. It was only 8 verses. So there's Psalm 121 right there. So the Lord preserves his people, and he takes care of them regardless of what they're doing, where they're doing it. And when the appointed time comes, he'll take them home to be with him. And so when we're in Christ, we really don't have a whole lot to be concerned about. The Lord takes good care of us. All right, we're going to Proverbs. I go by the date on the calendar. What a proverb will we be in today? The 25. All right. Now, further wise sayings of Solomon. So Solomon um, was a wise man, not only because God granted him wisdom, but because he learned from his mistakes. And then he kept making them. But anyway, the end of Solomon was not good. His wives really guided him in the wrong direction. You see, back then they would marry to make a pact between two nations. Instead of signing a contract, the king would marry a queen from another nation or a princess from another nation to bind that agreement, that contract together. So he had a lot of agreements with a lot of nations. So he kept bringing these women in, and they were not of the faith of Israel, and they began to have their influence and effect on Solomon over time. But at any rate, Proverbs 25 is sayings of Solomon. These also are Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied. It is the glory of God to cancel a matter, but the glory of kings is to search out a matter. As the heavens for height and the earth for depth, so the heart of kings is unsearchable. Take away the dross from silver, and it will go to the silversmith for jewelry. The dross is the impurities. Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne will be established in righteousness. If you put that into modern day, what would a president want to do? A president would want to get rid of any cabinet members in his cabinet that are wicked, basically. They're going to undermine his administration and do that which is not beneficial to the nation. Do not exalt yourself in the presence of the king, and do not stand in the place of the great. For it is better that he say to you, come up here, than that you should be put lower in the presence of the prince whom your eyes have seen. Do not go hastily to court. Boy, we could learn that one, couldn't we? For what will you do in the end when your neighbor has put you to shame? Debate your case with your neighbor and do not disclose the secret to another, lest he who hears it expose your shame and your reputation be ruined. There's always a risk in those things, isn't there? A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and settings of silver. Like an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold is a wise rebuker to an obedient ear. Like the cold of snow in time of harvest is a faithful messenger to those who send him. For he refreshes the soul of his masters. Whoever falsely boasts of giving is like clouds and wind without rain. By long forbearance a ruler is persuaded, and a gentle tongue breaks a bone. Have you found honey? Eat only as much as you need, lest you be filled with it and vomit. Seldom set foot in your neighbor's house, lest he become weary of you and hate you. So don't be a pest and a nuisance. A man who bears false witness against his neighbor is like a club, a sword, or a sharp arrow. Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a bad tooth and a foot out of joint. Like one who takes away a garment in cold winter, and like vinegar on soda, is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. If your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat. And if he is thirsty, give him water to drink. For so you will heap, oh, kiwi. For so you will heap coals of fire on his head, and the Lord will reward you. The north wind brings forth rain, and a backbiting tongue and angry countenance. It is better to dwell in the corner of a housetop than in a house shared with a contentious woman. As cold water to a weary soul, so is good news from a far country. A righteous man who falters before the wicked is like a murky spring in a polluted well. It is not good to eat much honey, So to seek one's own glory is not glory. That's a really good one. To seek one's own glory is not glory. Whoever has no rule over his own spirit is like a city broken down without walls. We see a lot of things today, don't we? A lot of people who don't know how to rule their own spirit. And so they're like a city broken down without walls. All right. Oh, excuse me. I'm gonna call it there. Obviously, I'm sleepy. Um, had an early morning men's study this morning I went to, and I don't think I've recovered from that yet. I got coffee. I'm working on it, folks, right here. All right. God bless. I'll see you here next time on C Files. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you don't like and subscribe, a murky spring will pollute your well. Not really. But anyway, it sounded good. All right. I'll bless you guys. God bless you guys.